The woman had just married into a wealthy family, but her husband died right after the wedding. Staring at his handsome portrait, she sighed, saying what a pity. The next second, her stomach growled. 3 days without food had left her starving. She reached out for an offering on the table, but a large hand suddenly stopped her. Looking up, it was the man from the portrait. The man looked at her coldly and asked if she had asked his permission before stealing his offerings. The woman was stunned, but the next second, she complained that he was petty for haunting her over a single apple. The man was speechless. Then he suddenly pulled her close, looking at her with a doting gaze, muttering that she must be his silly wife. The truth was, the woman had married in place of her adoptive sister. Her sister had refused to marry a dead man, and sent her from the countryside to take her place. The man looked at this harmless girl, and found himself intrigued. Soon, the silly woman discovered, the man was alive all along, and he was determined to find out who wanted him dead. Suddenly, footsteps echoed in the hallway. A servant came to check on the mourning bride, but the man quickly pulled the woman into his coffin. While the servant looked around in confusion, the woman had already fallen asleep in the man's arms. The man, who had only faked his death, fell in love with this silly wife at first sight. Soon, he carried her back home. When she woke up, still half asleep, she mumbled about going back to keep vigil. The man pretended to scare her, saying he would take her to heaven with him. The woman was shocked at first, then seriously asked if she could have a small cake first, because she wanted to be a full ghost. The man was speechless. Soon, he ordered his men to bring her cake. She stared at it, drooling, and promised to keep his fake death a secret. She said she'd stay quiet as a little widow. The man smiled with satisfaction, watching her eat happily. He asked why she loved cake so much. She simply said today was her birthday, and it was her first time ever eating cake. The man's heart ached. He ordered his men to protect her at all costs. Then, he knelt down, took off his ring, and said it was their wedding ring. His subordinate recognized it immediately. It was the family's power symbol. But the woman, too busy eating, had no idea of its value. Just then, his subordinate reported they had found the man's would-be killer. The man left immediately, while his silly wife kept eating. The next day, the woman woke up in a massive 5.8-meter bed. She stretched lazily, but the next second, her eyes locked on the cake on the table. It had been sitting there for 3 days. Her mouth watered instantly. She had never eaten enough since she was a child. Soon, a maid walked in. She told the woman the cake had gone bad, and a rich breakfast was ready downstairs. Having never been full in her life, the woman rushed down and devoured everything. She thought, if she could eat like this every day, she wouldn't mind being a widow forever. After breakfast, the maid brought dresses and jewelry. The CEO had arranged them for her, but she still had to pretend to keep vigil in the morning hall. Meanwhile, her father and foster sister arrived at the hall first. Seeing it empty, they scolded her for losing the family's face. The woman rushed over, full and well-rested, but the next second, her father slapped her. Her foster sister yelled at her for dressing so lavishly at a vigil. Angry, the woman ran to the altar. She grabbed a banana and shoved it into her mouth, muttering that she couldn't be angry on a full stomach. Her foster sister stared in shock, but soon, her eyes landed on the necklace. She yanked it off without warning. At that moment, the woman's ring also slipped to the ground. Her father's eyes widened. It was the family's power ring. He accused her of stealing it. Without even listening to her explanation, he grabbed a stand to hit her. But just then, the door swung open, and a masked man stepped inside.